Oh, here's Trump.
Rick, sorry to cut you short.
I mean, we get the reminders more frequently than this, but if you ever forget how sick and deranged this right-wing movement is in the United States, CPAC is a reminder of how sick and deranged it is. God, this song, it's everything about it, guys.
The best is yet to come.
Thank you. Wow. Wow, thank you very much. Thank you.
Audio feedback.
And it's great to be back where it all started with the great patriots of CPAC. Thank you very much. Thank you. Standing before you today, I'm thrilled to report that our incredible movement, a movement that nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. There has never been anything like it before.
True.
Is strong and growing stronger every single
Guys,
day.
I think he's sort of giving a State of the Union speech like he's still president.
The radical left is exposed. They're weak, and their pathetic policies have been out there long enough now that we don't want them. We'll never take them. We are bringing back our country, and we are bringing back our freedom. The socialists, globalists, Marxists, and communists who are attacking our civilization have no idea of the sleeping giant. They have awoken. We are a sleeping giant. They cannot even begin to imagine the
Is the audio okay, or do we need it up, guys? Let me know.
in men and women like all of you here today, and this is some
we will
crowd.
ban
We broke the record
men.
again. We broke the record again. But they're going to find out the hard way starting on November 8th, and then again even more so on November 2024. They will find out like never before.
Here we go.
We did it twice, and we'll do it again.
Wow.
We're going to be doing it again a third time.
Did he just say he's running?
2022 will be the year that millions of everyday citizens stand up to the left-wing fascists, and they'll continue, and we will all continue together to make America great again. We had it done. The election was rigged. They've undone some of it, not all of it. They'll never be able to do all of it because we'll be acting long before they can do all of it. It was up to them. They'd do everything they could to destroy our country. But we can build it back again quickly and even better than before because they have lost all credibility. They've proven during this period of time that their policies are a disaster and that their policies don't work. We'll get voter ID. We'll never defund the police. Ridiculous cancel culture will be wiped out entirely. The wall will
They will cancel culture.
build the wall, complete the wall in 3 weeks. Took 2.5 years on the wall, 2.5 years to win all of the litigation, over 11 lawsuits that they threw at us.
They were not 3 weeks from finishing the wall.
And then I said, they can't be serious. They don't want to close up the little loops. But nobody's ever had a border so secure as the border that we had. We'll be sealed good and tight, except for people coming into our country legally.
This does seem like a campaign speech.
The drugs pouring in, the human trafficking will stop, and we will again save our country from destruction. I want to thank the American Conservative Union for putting on this incredible show, this great program of patriots, and in particular, thank you to Matt and Mercedes Schlapp. Thank you very much.
Please proceed, Governor.
Matt and Mercedes Schlapp are truly vile individuals, a uniquely negative influence on this country.
Tonight also, and we have so many that I'm going to leave some out. It's always a disaster when we do this because they'll say, sir, and it takes me a year to make up. Sir! Takes me a year because it's a year before they sit before you again. But we'll give it the best we can. I want to thank, and these are great people. These are patriots. Senator Rick Scott.
This is the same speech from 1933. I'm sorry, from last month.
Rick. Thank you, Rick. Senator Bill Hagerty. Bill, Tennessee. Great state of Tennessee. Thank you, Bill. And John Kennedy. He's running. If it's not going to be much of an election, he's going to win so easy. John, whoa, he's popular. Where's John? Look at John. Where is John? Great.
He does seem particularly unhinged tonight.
Great student. You know, he's a great student. Comes from an incredible state. The other senator's not so good in that state, I must be honest. But John Kennedy is fantastic. Went to Oxford. Do you know that? He went to Oxford. He was an incredible student, brilliant guy, and he's with us all the way. Also, Representatives Madison Cawthorn. Where's Madison?
Oh, no.
Where's Madison?
Wow.
Madison. They're doing everything they can to stop him. They're doing everything, but that will not be successful, will it? Mark Green. Mark, thank you.
It's becoming vomitous.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you. A person who's very shy, doesn't like speaking her mind, but she does it anyway. Marjorie Taylor Greene.
That is a frickin' predator right there.
Where's Marjorie?
What a stupid son of a bitch.
A man that knows me almost better than any human being. He knows every inch of me.
What? What?
And he thinks it's actually a very beautiful sight. That's why I like him.
Oh, my God.
That's why I like him. He was the White House
Extremely
doctor.
cult-like.
And also, for Obama and for Bush.
Obama.
And I'd love to ask him who's in the best shape.
Obama. Obviously Obama. What kind of a question is that?
He was also an incredible admiral, highly respected by everybody. He was a great admiral. He had so he was a great doctor, a great admiral. And you know what he is now? He's an
idiot.
Incredible, loving, wonderful, but very tough politician from Texas. Congressman Ronnie Jackson. Thank you, Ronnie.
Isn't this the worst, guy? I mean, this is an insane cult. An insane cult.
He said President Trump is the healthiest president in history. If he didn't eat junk food, he'd live for 200 years. That got us into a lot of trouble, right, Ronnie?
Uniquely disqualifying statement.
Trouble, but that's okay. We all love you, Ronnie. Thank you. Great job. Great job. A man who's terrific, who really loves our country and who's loved in the state of Florida, Matt Gaetz. Where's Matt?
What? Does Trump know what Gaetz is under investigation for?
Thank you, Matt. Good guy. Former congressman and now happens to be working on a little project called Truth Social, which has been trending at the top all over the place, and it's going to give our voice back. And he's tough as hell. Former Congressman Devin Nunes. Devin,
He still can't even pronounce his name. As you guys, I'm sure, would see, the last name is Nunes with an S. That's the Portuguese spelling. Z would be, you know, the Spanish origin spelling. Trump still doesn't know the guy's name.
128-1 in wrestling. He was serious. Don't wrestle him. A man who, I mean, every time he goes on television, it's like a fight.
Is it Jim Jordan?
He's got one point, the other point, the other point. And there's nobody like him. And if you ever saw him work out, he just, the machine starts to burn. The treadmill starts to go up on fire. He's still in great shape, but he's a tough cookie, all-American wrestler. And nobody like him, really. There's nobody like him. Congressman Jim Jordan.
It's genuinely crazy. Jim Jordan's been accused of looking the other way when there was sexual abuse going on in the gym, in the wrestling locker room. Matt Gaetz is under investigation for child sex trafficking. Madison Cawthorn's been accused by like a dozen women of sexual assault and harassment.
Two, she said two. Two all-American wrestlers. Then I said, are you better than your father was? He said, no, sir, nobody's better than my father was. That's only your son could say that, right? Right, Polly? Jim, thank you for being here. Great people. And Governor Kevin Stitt. We know Governor
Kevin
Stitt.
Stitt,
He's
yeah.
here someplace, Governor Stitt. And by the way, I noticed a patriot in our midst, Mike Lindell. Will you stand up?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Pillow.
He's a patriot.
Any room that gives a standing ovation to such a disgusting human being is a room we need to write off.
Over 2 years, he spent a whole life. I will tell you what he does and what he goes through, what he believes. He's a great patriot. Thank you, Mike, very much.
No closed captions here. Let me see if I can get a different feed, guys. Let's see.
Was that about right? 22 years, and people loved her. And she's beautiful inside and out. You know, you're not allowed to say that anymore. It's politically incorrect, but it's true. She's beautiful inside and out.
They're not coming through even though they're on. I apologize.
Like Carrie Lake, everybody. And she is leading big. Wow, I just looked at a poll, Carrie, and, well, you never know, right? So just keep working. Just keep working, but you're leading very big, and you're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much. And there's so many other people here. If I see them, if you don't mind, during the course of the speech, I'll just bring them out. This way, it saves me a lot of problems for the rest of the year, or when they vote against me at some point. They'll vote against me because I didn't mention their name. You know, they're politicians, and they're vicious people. Somebody said, sir, you've been in business, you've been in entertainment, The Apprentice.
Sir,
and you've
sir.
been in politics. Who are the toughest? Who are the worst? I said, the worst are the politicians. The toughest are the politicians. The meanest are the politicians. And the biggest lying scum are the politicians. Like Adam Shifty Schiff. Where do you meet people like this? He actually made up a story about my phone call with the president of Ukraine, who, by the way, is a brave man. He's hanging in. He's a brave
Look at this. They've totally shifted the messaging.
And I like him because, you know, during that ridiculous impeachment waste of time, and the Republicans stood by us, we were 196-0. When did you ever hear Republicans do that? But this was truly a scam. But the president of Ukraine said he did nothing wrong. He could have said he did something, or he thought, well, I wasn't appropriate, you know, all the crap you have to listen to, right? He said he did absolutely nothing. I called him up to congratulate him on his victory. He said he did nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong. I'm glad that tape was going. Those transcribers were writing during that call, because otherwise it could have been. But this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with some people that are truly evil, truly bad people.
True.
Let me also express my enormous gratitude to every single one of you here today in the audience. We appreciate you being here. It's a great crowd. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of fake news. Look at all those cameras up there. Wow.
Mexico and
That's a lot of people. And my friends from North Carolina, they've come to 92. Our beautiful friends, they've come to 92 rallies and CPACs and other things. Thank you all very much.
Sick people, huh?
I don't know if their husbands are happy about it, but they are beautiful people. They're great people. Thank you very much. Thank you for your dedication. You know what? The bottom line, they love our country. They love our country. Thank you. Appreciate it. So we've been together from the very beginning in this journey, and we are a long way from being done, because we had something very bad happen, and we have to keep it going. We're not going to have a country left for an amazing 48 years.
I don't know if you guys are noticing, but he's back to very similar language and rhetoric as to when he was running in 2016.
And this year we're being vividly reminded how fragile and precious that heritage really is. I never knew how important being president was. I was president for 4 years. I think I did a great job. We did things that nobody could do.
He never knew president was an important job, yeah.
But the importance of the president, when I look at what's happening to our country today, the president is such an important representative. Now, we obviously know that. But just a wrong word or a wrong, like a yawn, or going to sleep very early, like at
What's he talking about?
No, you just can't. It's just such an important. It's so important, psychologically so important for our country. I never really realized to that extent. I knew it was important, but you assume you're going to be doing certain things that are right. We rebuilt our economy and energy independence and all of those things, but you also have to portray a strength to the outside world. Otherwise, they're going to walk all over you, and that's what they're doing right now. You could take the 5 worst presidents in American history and put them together, and they would not have done the damage that Joe Biden and his administration has done in just a very short 13 months. And no matter how you look at it, our country has totally lost its self-confidence. Lost its self-confidence. We as a country have no confidence anymore, but we will get it back, and we'll get it back stronger than ever before. Whoever heard of that? Whoever heard of that? Our country has lost its self-confidence.
Does anybody know what's up with Trump here? This is a very strange speech.
When you see the way we withdrew, when you see the things, the stupidity, the open border concept, who wants this? Prisons from other countries being emptied out into our country. Just over 1 year ago, we had the most secure border in U.S. history. record low gas prices, American energy independence, the fastest economic recovery in the history of our country, fastest economic recovery in history, an unrivaled military. We rebuilt the military and we added Space Force on top of it. And peace and quiet was all around the world. Now inflation is the highest in 40 years. Economists are talking about $5, $6, $7, and even $8 a gallon gasoline. Supply chains are crumbling. Store shelves are empty. Millions of illegal aliens are rushing our borders. Murders are setting records in our cities.
Guys, I don't know that any of this stuff is true.
These are drenched in blood. A radical left zealot has been nominated to the Supreme Court of the United States.
Lindsey Graham voted to confirm her.
China is threatening Taiwan. Russia is decimating Ukraine.
China.
Iran is on the cusp of a nuclear bomb. We ended the worst and most dangerous deal I've ever seen, and now they want to go back to it, the Iran nuclear deal. America...
Who's even talking about the Iran nuclear deal?
Humiliated in its surrender from Afghanistan, and that's what it was. It was a surrender for no reason whatsoever. We wanted to get out, but we had to get out with strength and with dignity. And a major war in Europe may very well erupt. That's how they start. Exactly what's happening today. This is how they start. Joe Biden has turned calm into chaos, competence into incompetence, stability into anarchy, and security into catastrophe. The Russian attack on Ukraine is appalling. It's an outrage and an atrocity that should never have been allowed to occur. It never would have occurred.
I guess now he's against the invasion.
Praying for the proud people of Ukraine. God bless them all. God bless them all.
Yeah. Quite a 180 from 2 days ago on Fox News, huh?
And God bless.
Thank you.
the
They are
United
indeed
States.
brave. As everyone understands, this horrific disaster would never have happened if our election was not rigged and if I was the president.
Oh, my God.
Very simple. It wouldn't have happened. Under Bush, Russia invaded Georgia. Under Obama, Russia took Crimea. Under Biden, Russia invaded Ukraine. I stand as the only president of the 21st century on whose watch Russia did not invade another country.
That doesn't necessarily mean what Trump wants you to think it means. Oh, my God.
Thank you. I gave Ukraine the javelins that everyone is now talking about and millions of dollars of other military equipment. The Obama administration gave them blankets. You remember they gave them...
By the way, under Trump, wasn't Russia occupying the Donetsk and Luhansk regions? And he just didn't even say it. Maybe he didn't even know.
A peaceful place because America was strong and the perception of our country was perhaps like it had never been before. Powerful, cunning, and smart. We were a smart country. Now we're a stupid country. We always very simply put America first. That was the answer. With the Abraham Accords, we had peace in the Middle East. We had peace in Europe. China knew that it could no longer take advantage of the United States. And I was proud to be the first president in decades who did not get our country into any wars. I got you out of wars.
It's sort of like a very vague statement, which we've picked apart before. It's not really accurate. By the way, what war did he get us out of?
Thank you. Under our administration, Russia respected America just like every other country respected America, and they really respected us a lot. But
Trump thinks Putin respected him.
As a weak, and I hate to say it because I want him to do a great job. I really want him to do. Politically, I don't care. I would much rather have him do a great job than a poor job. But nobody could ever believe how bad and weak and grossly incompetent it has been. And when you have a weak president who is not respected by other nations, you have a very chaotic world. And the world hasn't been this chaotic since World War II. I think we can say that. We can say that very strongly. I have no doubt that President Putin made his decision to ruthlessly attack Ukraine only after watching the pathetic withdrawal from Afghanistan, where the military was taken out first, our soldiers were killed, and American hostages plus $85 billion worth of the finest equipment anywhere in the world were left behind. Yesterday, reporters asked me if I thought President Putin was smart. I said, of course he's smart, to which I was greeted with, oh, that's such a terrible thing to say. I'd like to tell you, yes, he's smart. The NATO nations, and indeed the world, as he looks over what's happening strategically with no repercussions or threats whatsoever, they're not so smart. They're looking the opposite of smart. If you take
This is quite a logic pretzel Trump's winding himself into with all of the Russia stuff.
Well, that's a pretty weak statement. Putin is saying, oh, they're going to sanction me. They sanctioned me for the last 25 years. You mean I can take over a whole country and they're going to sanction me? You mean they're not going to blow us to pieces, at least psychologically? The problem...
Remember, it used to be it's good to get along with Russia. Now it's why isn't Biden doing more to Russia?
That our leaders are dumb.
Yes.
Dumb.
Yes. That's true.
So dumb. And they so far allowed him to get away with this travesty and assault on humanity. That's what it is. This is an assault on humanity. So sad. Putin is playing Biden like a drum, and it's not a pretty thing as somebody that loves our country to watch. Just not a pretty thing to watch. You know, I was with Putin a lot. I spent a lot of time with him. I got along with him. I got along with President Xi. I got along with Kim Jong-un.
We know, all the dictators.
Massive nuclear power.
You loved all of them.
It's a good thing to get along with people, not a bad thing. You can be very tough and get along. You know, I'm the one that ended his pipeline. He said, you're killing me with the pipeline. Nobody else ended his pipeline. Biden came in, he approved it. But I did a lot of things that were very tough on Russia. No president was ever as tough on Russia as I was. And I'd come in, the fake news would say, Trump loves Russia. He loves Russia.
Very,
we had the
very large
Russia
brain.
hoax, which is now with Durham and Mueller and all the rest, just a total hoax. It was a made-up, fictional story.
Completely bipolar speech on the Russia stuff. I mean, it's up, down.
Now, it would have been so easy for me to stop this travesty from happening. He understood me, and he understood that I didn't play games. This would not have happened. Someday I'll tell you exactly what we talked about. But we talked about it. And he did have an affinity, there's no question about it, for Ukraine. I said, never let it happen. You better not let it happen. This is the only attack in history where the further he goes and the bigger it gets, and the worse it gets, and the more death that's caused, the more money he makes because oil prices keep climbing higher and higher and higher. There's never been anything like that where a warring nation, the more he makes it difficult to get oil, the more expensive it gets, and the more money he makes. And all those tanks roaming around are very expensive, but they're peanuts compared to the kind of money that he's making because of the tremendous increase in oil. You know, when I left, And during my term, oil was at $36 a barrel. Think of it, 36. Now it hit 100, and they think it's going to 150. So the Middle East and Saudi Arabia, a lot of countries, but Russia right now in particular is making more money than they ever dreamt possible. The cost of the war is very, very small compared to the kind of money they're taking in. There's never been a situation like that. It's horrible to watch. It's horrible because it's a disincentive for him to disengage. Remember, Joe and Hunter Biden got $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife and were never allowed to explain in the debate. Remember we had the debate? And I said, hey, what'd you do with the $3.5 million that you got from the mayor of Moscow's wife?
Wasn't that a lie?
Wallace, who I assume was now fired from Fox, which is good. He said that's not an appropriate question. That turned out to be another one. Trump was right. That turned out to be another very appropriate question. He got $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife. Very rich family, I will tell you that. This is a conflict of interest, but at the same time, Joe Biden bragged unknowingly on tape, and this was on tape, can you imagine if I said it, about getting rid of a Ukrainian prosecutor, or he wouldn't allow $1 billion of American taxpayers' money to be given to Ukraine. They kept saying, where's the money, where's the money, where's the money? No, you got to get rid of that prosecutor. He's getting too close. Can you imagine if I did that? And he was on tape. And the fake news media, those people right there, refused to report it. What? And that's without mentioning the fact that China gave them $1.5 billion to manage. And he never managed money before, other than the money they got, probably. There's plenty of conflict.
He seems completely drunk.
Have to even think about it, and the fake news didn't want to mention anything. They didn't want to talk about it. It was bad for the election. It was bad for our country in their mind, but they probably knew talking about it would have been good. We can never really bring our country back unless we get an honest media, because they're like the policing agent, and they refuse to air scandal. They refuse to air it. And it'll be interesting to see.
The crowd's applause seems more geared towards how Trump's tone than what he's saying.
As one of the worst scandals ever, I call it the crime of the century, ballot harvesting, as it gets released, and it's all on
Remember, Obamagate was the crime of the century. Then we never again heard about Obamagate. Now it's ballot harvesting.
And all of them for the job they've done. It's incredible. But that'll be released very soon. Everything is on tape. Even the pictures are taken of the people stuffing the ballot boxes, because without the pictures, they don't get paid.
It's all coming out soon.
About hundreds of thousands of votes in each swing state. They focus, they say, on the swing states. And you know what? They probably did others too. But the swing states was the focus. Over the past year, we've seen weakness, self-loathing, and self-destruction on a scale previously unthinkable. A military obsessed with equity to all and only being politically correct. I said, so let me ask you, is a general, good, strong General Patton, how do you think he'd like this military? General Douglas MacArthur. Would General Patton be allowed to shout at a private who was doing a horrible thing? Sir, we don't think that would be appropriate. Oh, really? Oh.
Sir.
Sir! I don't think, Jim Jordan, that would work out too well, would it, huh? Wouldn't work out too well. A Department of Homeland Security actively aiding illegal immigration, and in many cases, criminals coming into our country. Criminals, absolute criminals. A Department of Energy and Interior forcing us to be reliant on foreign energy at a cost that is not acceptable to our nation and not sustainable.
Serious question. Are there any actual generals who like Trump and think he's smart?
As grave as the dangers are abroad, it's the destruction within that spells our doom. We must get this reversed. Our most dangerous people are people from within. These are people that must hate our country because they make us weak, and they make our country unsustainable as a nation itself. Unbelievably, Biden is now claiming that you must sacrifice through higher energy prices to foot the cost of his failed foreign policy in Europe. I saw John Kerry on television, and we're talking about energy. We need energy, we need oil, we need gas, we need everything. No, no, no. No, no, global warming, global warming. We have a world that's ready to blow up and disintegrate over energy, and he's talking about global warming. The oceans may rise over the next 300 years, 1/100th of an inch.
Wow.
Giving you slightly more seafront property. And this is his problem. He's not thinking about the nuclear warming. He's thinking about other types of warming. These people are not living in a world of reality. The reason we've got soaring gas prices is that Biden shut down American energy, canceled our oil and gas leases just 2 days ago. 2 days ago, they canceled many oil and gas leases because of the environment.
How great would it have been if during that little press conference he did, someone said, Mr. President, sir, you said under Biden people would be flushing toilets 10 to 15 times. Are you doing that?
Proving the Russian pipeline, which has really been at the core of much of the problem we have right now. And I fought Angela. I said, Angela, here is a white flag, happened to be a white napkin that was on my desk. I said, Angela, you can have it. She said, but why, but why? I said, because you're getting 75%, and I think it's higher than that, but it will be, 75% of your energy from Russia. And as you probably know through history, you've had some rather major conflicts with Russia. And if you ever have a conflict with Russia, you will be able to wave the white flag.
This guy's out of his mind.
And surrender, because they supply your energy. And I knew that would happen. I just never had any idea it was going to happen so fast.
And did she say,
now
sir?
Biden is pleading with OPEC and begging Iran to re-enter the disastrous nuclear deal. With Biden, you get a war in Europe and a war on American energy. With Republicans, you get energy independence and energy dominance.
We were still, by the way, energy independent in 2021. I just had that report last week on the bonus show. And by the way, by independent, what we mean is we produced equivalent to usage, but it doesn't mean energy still not being traded internationally. I mean, that's why these talking points are just so meaningless.
72 years. I was very proud of that. They ended it almost immediately. We would have been bigger than Russia and Saudi Arabia combined ×2 in 1 year. We were already bigger. We were doing things that we had never done before. And we should not be buying Russian energy, but rather allow the people of our country to start producing like they did just 1 year ago. That's all we have to do. This will drive prices down, drive inflation down. You want to get rid of inflation or bring it way down? Reduce the cost of energy. That's the single biggest factor having to do with inflation. And what has happened in Ukraine is a catastrophic disaster, but it isn't really that interesting that so many Democrat politicians in Washington, they seem to be rushing to microphones to declare that Ukraine's borders are sacred. They want to say their borders are sacred. And we feel for Ukraine in so many ways, but Ukraine's sovereignty must be defended at all costs, they say, even while they're destroying our own borders and surrendering our own.
Do you think he doesn't understand the difference between Putin sending tanks in to take over a country while killing people and someone coming in from Mexico undocumented to work? Do you guys think he doesn't realize those are two different things?
With the plane, remember they said, oh, the planes are coming in. The people that rush the planes, those are very energetic people.
He doesn't care.
Those are people that
fair.
You will be paying a big, big price for in years to come. The most important duty of every elected lawmaker is to protect and defend America, and that begins with protecting and defending America's borders.
At first I thought he was on an upper, but now he seems more sedated, yeah.
Under Joe Biden, we're losing our country no different than if we had lost it in a war. No different. No different. Millions of people are pouring in, descending on our communities, camping in our towns, depleting our resources, flouting our laws, and bringing crime, drugs, and death to the streets of our cities and communities. And they're not only coming from Central and South America, they're coming from all over the world, over 160 countries. In many cases, from jails that are being emptied into our country as though we are a dumping ground. We're not the United States. We're considered a dumping ground for criminals.
Big, massive dumps.
The Biden administration has spent months obsessing over how to stop an invasion of a foreign country thousands of miles away. I believe Americans deserve a president who will stop the invasion of our country also. And we had it stopped 1 year ago. We had it stopped. We had it stopped 1 year ago. You can't defend Western civilization if you would not be able to defend your own civilization. And that means we need borders that work, elections that are fair and free and not rigged, and crime that must be immediately stopped in our cities. And we must immediately stop the influx of illegal aliens. Has to stop immediately. Our country is being poisoned from within. The Biden administration cares more about helping citizens of a distant foreign nation than it does about our own citizens, because our country is a mess. Our country is a dangerous place, and it's getting worse and worse every day. And when you hear 3 million people this year, it's not 3 million. It's probably 3 to 4 times that number. It's probably 10 million, 11 million, or 12 million. But the real truth is they have no idea.
Wait, so is Trump saying that this year 11 million people are coming in? Because the belief is that 11 million people are here undocumented total. He's saying another 11 million are coming in just in 1 year? Never heard that before.
They should start with the democracy that is under threat right next door, a place called Canada.
Uh-oh.
Well, by the way, we got rid of NAFTA, and we have the USMCA, that's Mexico and
basically the same thing.
One of the greatest deals we ever made, and I know it's great because they want to renegotiate the deal. That was a horrible deal. NAFTA was the worst trade deal ever made, and now we have probably the best trade deal ever made, but they want to renegotiate.
The differences between NAFTA and USMCA are quite subtle.
Putting America first. We put America first. It's a great deal. They should leave it. They've been ripping us off for 30 years. It's time for us to do well. The tyranny we have witnessed in Canada in recent weeks should shock and dismay people all over the world. In an advanced Western democracy, the peaceful movement of patriotic truckers, workers, and families protesting for their most basic rights and liberties has been violently put down. Their assets and life savings have been frozen. They have been slandered as Nazis, racists, and terrorists. These are the names they've been called. They've been arrested and charged.
I mean, listen, there were some Nazi flags, and many of the organizers are connected to white nationalists.
Powers. I watched them. I saw those maple leafs all over the flags and the love for their country. Plenty of Americans were there, too, and they love our country. They're being hunted down like enemies of their own government and treated worse than drug dealers and murderers or rapists. A line has been crossed. You're either with the peaceful truckers or you are with the left-wing fascists. And that's what's been happening. And it's been a strong...
By the way, do you think anyone in the room understands the absurdity of the term left-wing fascist?
...noble quest to reclaim their freedom. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you, Linda. Good job. Right here in our own nation, it's also far past time to declare independence from every last COVID mandate. It's time. It's time.
Maybe you can, maybe you can't. I'm not a doctor.
And then I see the disinfectant. Is there a way we can do something?
And you
like
know,
that?
as early as when it first happened,
I let the governors make that decision. And we had some governors that did a great job, and we had some governors that didn't do a very good job. But I can tell you that the Republican governors did quite well, thank you, quite well.
donate plasma.
And a big, big difference also on crime. You look at where the crime is, and you don't see the word Republican very much, if at all. With one voice, Americans must insist that the emergency is over.
This
and
guy
we
is
will
a
submit
moron.
to this left-wing tyranny no longer. We will
The
not.
funny thing is, are there any mask mandates left? Like the remaining mandates are mostly stores and municipalities, and then the travel mandate.
They'll get some votes, but we will never forget what they did to our children. We will hold them accountable at the ballot box this November. As everyone here understands, the COVID mandates are just one part of a much larger crisis. The radical left is trying to replace American democracy with woke tyranny. They want to do the same thing to America that Trudeau has been doing to Canada, and much, much worse. Our mission in 2022 and in 2024 is to take on this radical and power-hungry ruling class and to deliver them an electoral defeat so resounding that they are exiled into political oblivion, never, ever to return again.
Wow. Wow.
Joe Biden, Chuck Schumer, and crazy Nancy Pelosi are the sinister faces of this corrupt and lawless political establishment. They enrich their families in Ukraine, China, Russia, while they shutter your small businesses right here at home. They send young Americans to fight and die for the borders of distant foreign nations while they throw our borders open to an illegal foreign invasion, which is what is happening. They set violent criminals loose without charges while prosecuting their political opponents for fabricated crimes.
Here's the dehumanizing language of saying people were set loose, almost like you set a wild animal loose.
Ransacking our cities while they hold nonviolent protesters without trial, destroy their lives. They lift sanctions on Iran while they sanction and destroy our own citizens. They try to silence voices like Joe Rogan for alleged misinformation while they perpetuate the most flagrant hoaxes and monstrous lies like the Russia, Russia, Russia hoax. How was that? For 3 years, we had to put up with the Russia, Russia, Russia hoax. It was a total hoax. They indoctrinate your children to hate their parents while calling you a hateful racist. They stick the FBI on mothers at school board meetings while they teach 4-year-olds to pick their own genders. Would you like to change your gender? And they say it's absolutely fine for a boy or man to participate in women's sports. I don't think so.
One of the notable characteristics of Trump's speeches in 2022 has been some transphobia at every single speech.
Agencies to frame you. They use the media to slander you. They use the legal system to persecute you. It is a persecution. They rig elections to disenfranchise you and destroy you and ruin your lives. I've seen the anger and the hatred and the horror at the 2020 election.
It's
All
horror.
the while they claim as they are the ones defending democracy. They say they are the ones that are going to defend your democracy and your justice. It's a lot of bullshit. That's what it is.
Stand back and stand by.
I have to interrupt with an incredibly positive message of peace and love. Andrew Dale on Twitch has now been subscribed 30 months, which is incredible. Subtitles are on, guys. They're just not coming through. They're on. They're just not coming through.
Restore constitutional government of, by, and for the people. The Washington swamp knows that we are coming to break their grip on power forever. That is why they are so desperate to stop us. They will go to any lengths. And that is why the corrupt Democrat prosecutors, an unconstitutional, unselect committee on January 6th, the unselect committee. Can you imagine a committee made of these thugs? They hate us all. Is there ever been a committee like this? The Unselect Committee. I think that was my term. I think I came up with it first. I'm very proud of many of our terms. But they're continuing their evil and demented persecution of me, my family, my staff, my supporters, and you.
One of the funny things about a Trump speech is there's no rhyme or reason. Like, you can basically tune in anytime and it makes equally little sense, and everything just seems out of context. And people go, oh, I must have just missed the context that would have made this all clear. And it's like, no, there is no such context.
Now we know that crooked Hillary not only spied on my campaign.
That's not true.
She spied on the White House.
Completely untrue. A lot of people getting banned, by the way.
Throw him the hell out of here.
Do you remember when I said years ago, I think they spied on my campaign, and everybody said on the other side, how dare he say that? How dare he? Well, it turned out to be true.
It's as much of a lie now as it was then.
John Durham for figuring that out.
Remember, Durham put out a statement saying, yeah, I didn't say any of that stuff.
Very bad things are going to be learned about what took place. Everything they're doing to me is about preserving their power and control over the American people. If I renounce my beliefs, if I agreed to stay silent, if I stayed at home, if I said I'm not going to run, the persecution would stop immediately.
What?
They'd go on to the next victim.
That's not true.
Who's next? But they'll never, ever do what they did to me. And nobody else, I don't believe, would be able to take it if they did. I have had that a lot. I've had great people come up to me and tell me, sir, may I please ask you a question? Yes,
Sir,
what would you
you're on
like
the
to
cover
know?
of Time magazine
Sir,
again.
Sir.
how did you take it? How did you take it?
I don't even know
what
you're
doing,
sir. I don't know.
President, sir.
You
Mr.
can't
President,
answer
sir.
that question.
In many
How long-
ways, I can't answer that question. But there's never been anything like this ever done to an American president before. But I can't do any of those things because I love this country. We love this country, and we're going to bring this country back, and it's going to be bigger and better and stronger than ever before.
So I guess he's running.
But remember, they're coming after me because I'm standing up for you, and that is it. I'm standing up for you. In 2022, we're taking on this wretched and corrupt political establishment like never before. And we've learned a lot over the last 4 years. We've learned how corrupt they are. Nobody can even believe it. If you wrote a book or a novel, and it was all just printed out like this, with Crooked Hillary, with the Mueller report, which was okay.
What no one would believe is if it was included in the screenplay that Trump was flushing documents down the toilet and publicly talking about flushing toilets. Any director would be like, that's totally unbelievable. We can't include that. And yet it's true.
It's treason. It's everything you could have. If anybody ever wrote a novel, the great James Patterson, if he ever wrote a novel like this, it wouldn't sell because people would say, no, it's not believable. This could never happen.
Guy who hasn't read a book in 40 years talking about novels.
Things now that nobody even thought were possible. We're going to end Nancy Pelosi's political career once and for all.
No, you're not, dude. Who's going to do it?
And then we're going to kick the Biden crime family out of the White House in 2024 or sooner.
Isn't that the best? Like, what crimes? What crimes, dude?
But even our Supreme Court justices, and it's sad to say this, are afraid to do what has to be done to save our country. They're trying so desperately to be politically correct and to be loved by all.
They're cowering in fear.
Justices of the United States Supreme Court.
The overwhelmingly conservative Supreme Court.
Left, they are afraid of packing the court so that they are only one of 15, 19, or even 25 justices. And at any cost, they don't want to be impeached. Please don't impeach me. I don't want to be impeached. I'm a Supreme Court judge. Please don't impeach me. I'm a justice of the Supreme Court. Don't impeach me, please, for being with a woman that I never heard of before.
He's with the women? What?
Women that he didn't know. Women that a particular Justice Kavanaugh had no idea who they were, but you know
And
what?
we will ban men.
And he's afraid. I believe he's afraid. I believe he's afraid to do the
I guess he's ridiculing women who said they were sexually assaulted.
ref. They play the ref. They said not so long ago, we're going to impeach him for something, and then they found out. The woman got up. She said, well, he never did anything wrong. They said, we don't care. We're going to impeach him anyway.
None of this
vicious
happened.
people. These are vicious people, and we can't let this go on. They have to gain strength. They have to gain new.
I don't know. I mean, Kavanaugh was very strong in his denials, just like Putin.
That's right. They can no longer be afraid of the radical left, our Supreme Court, and our judges generally. The work of making America great again is only just beginning. The Republicans have a big and bold agenda that they're going to put into action under a Republican Congress, and we have a chance of setting records. But I don't want to say that. I don't want to say we could win 65 seats, because if we win 64, they'll say it was a terrible night for Trump. Terrible. He had a horrible night. He only won 64. He said he wanted 65. We will bring Joe Biden's inflation-causing socialist spending spree to a screeching halt. We will immediately begin a full audit of the $6 trillion of radical Democrats.
I do believe if Trump wins, the socialism will end, in the sense that there is currently no socialism.
They want to get up to a number that nobody can believe, and it looks like maybe people will not allow that to happen because they don't want our country to be destroyed. They should have never, ever in the Senate given that 2-month stay. You had them on the ropes. You were going to win. And then Mitch McConnell gave them a 2-month stay.
Wow. CPAC booing Mitch.
I call it the 2 months in which they can get their act together. And then they voted for the I call it the uninfrastructure bill, because there was very little infrastructure, right?
And then we fell in love.
9% infrastructure. Most of it's like throwing the money right out the window. And they voted.
What a
lots of
moron.
Republicans headed by Mitch McConnell. He's so bad for our country. The American people deserve to know, where did all the money go? In addition, we must take immediate action to fight the Biden violent crime wave that is devastating our citizens in Democrat-run cities.
How did he say Biden there? Boyardin? That was strange, huh?
In Afghanistan, I had a meeting with Abdul. You know who Abdul is? He's the leader of the Taliban.
Remember when he used to say the meeting was with Muhammad? He doesn't know who he met with, guys.
I was much tougher than that. I want to be nice. Much tougher. Even Jim Jordan would have been concerned if he heard that. But I said, Abdul, you're killing our soldiers. You better fucking not kill our soldiers anymore.
Ooh, F-bomb. Wow. What an edgy president, huh?
If you do, you will be hit like no country has ever been hit. You will be hit harder than anybody has ever been hit.
Right.
And he said, Mr. President, but why? He actually called me Your Excellency. I don't know. Do you think he calls Biden Your Excellency?
Sir, I don't know.
He goes, but why Your Excellency, Mr. President? Do you send me a picture of my house?
This never happened.
And I said, I'd rather not answer that question. See, I was being very nice. See? I'm being diplomatic.
This is a completely imaginary story. This never happened, sir.
And you know, we didn't have one soldier killed in 18 months in Afghanistan. We had them, this is what we wanted, the Taliban. And we could have pulled out with strength and dignity. They were absolutely, and then you look at what's happening in New York and Chicago and Los Angeles and these Democrat-run cities, and you have 7 people killed in one weekend and 80 shot. It's terrible. Republicans should pass legislation making clear that when...
How did we get... I mean, it's the top... It's completely erratic, jumping from one topic to another.
Criminals, the DAs and attorney generals can be charged with violations of the civil rights law.
The civil rights law. I like that. Which...
I mean, look at Los Angeles, what's going on. Look at Philadelphia, where people that kill violent criminals are being immediately allowed out of jail with no bond. As we defend America's safety, we must also defend American values. As president, I was proud to issue the world's first ban on critical race theory in September of 2020. It was over.
He proudly issued the first ban on it.
And then Biden, with the help of Mitch McConnell, came into office. Remember, he signed 17 executive orders, and one of them unended it. Not good. I also created the 1776 Commission. You people would love the 1776 Commission. So that young Americans would learn to love this country as much as we in this room do. On his first day in office, Biden abolished the 1776 Commission and then proceeded to impose woke left-wing racism on our military with
Biden enacted woke.
And for all, ban critical race theory from our schools. We will ban it from our military. We will ban it from every institution that accepts a single penny from the federal government. America's history will be taught fully and truthfully to America's beautiful children. In addition, we must defend parents' rights. Something new.
Uh-oh.
Something new.
Meaningless.
That's right. Something new that came up, parents' rights. Who ever thought of parents' rights? Parents' rights. We love our parents, of course. Now we have to defend parents' rights.
Trump really cares about the rights of parents to do things.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Over anyone teaching far-left gender ideologies to their children without parental consent. And any parent who objects to the radical indoctrination in their children's classroom should be able to take their share of taxpayer dollars and spend it at the public, private, charter, or religious school of their choice.
Destroy public schools is what that means.
Another top priority to save American democracy must be to break up the big tech giants and restore free speech in America. And we'll be fighting that very hard by opening Truth Social. The days of big tech censoring the voices of the American people are numbered. The left is also trying to take away the rights and dignity of OAN, One America News, on DirecTV and AT&T. And it's a great voice, and these are great people, and they're patriots.
He still doesn't understand what's happening with OAN, notice.
Shut down, and it does great. Who listens to OAN? I do. I do. They want to take away their voice. Can't let it happen. They've got millions of viewers, and those viewers...
OAN doesn't have millions of viewers. That's crazy.
Well, we're at it. A Republican Congress should launch a select committee, as opposed to an unselect committee, to get to the bottom of big tech's 2020 election interference. Let's find out who made the decision to censor. Who made that decision to censor the Joe and Hunter Biden corruption bombshell, which the pollsters said amounted to about 15 points. The largest illegal campaign.
15 points. It was a bogus story, so no one ran with it, is what happened.
$417 million given by Mark Zuckerberg, who used to come to the White House and kiss my ass.
Zucker.
That they spent to take over local election offices in key Democrat counties. And I believe you're going to be hearing a lot of it. You know, if you're a person that wants to make a contribution, you're allowed to give less than $6,000. Otherwise, they put you in jail. He gave $417 million. What the hell is going on? What are we doing? $6,000 and you go to jail? $417 million spread all over the place.
Now understand that I'm ready to reform the way PACs and all of it works. I'm ready, but he only cares about those limits when it doesn't benefit him.
Turnout efforts, illegal drop boxes, and ballot harvesting that's taken place.
When other bundlers and super PACs are putting together $200 million that helps Trump, he suddenly doesn't care about that.
% for Joe Biden because he campaigned so hard from his basement. 3% for Trump. 3%. They gave me 3. At least they gave me something, because I think they had a couple where he actually got 100%. Thousands of votes. He got 4,000. I got nothing. No, that was such a horrible thing. We need fair elections. You need those borders. You need those elections. The world is already waiting to see the explosive information out of Georgia, where True the Vote, Incredible People, has uncovered a massive...
Any day now, the evidence is coming out, guys.
2,000 ballot stuffers, or as they call them, mules. They call them...
It's almost sad now.
Stuffers. These are people. They call them mules. Ballots in Georgia and other swing states were trafficked and sold on an unprecedented scale. And the brutality, and it was just incredible what took place. And
it's like, it's so weaponized and corrosive, but it's also so impossible to take it even remotely seriously because it's so stupid.
Got them at the machine, standing here. Here they are. Here they are. You know why? Because that's the way they got paid. They had to take a picture of them. And what a job they've done. What a job they've done. And you know the saddest part? The hardest thing to do isn't to have caught them. It's to get those people to write anything about them. Because without the fake news, you don't have a scandal. The rhinos and certain weak Republican politicians want to ignore election integrity also, but we cannot ignore it, and we have to fix it. Make no mistake, they will try to do it again in 22 and 24, and we cannot let them do that. And the way you do it is to come to a very powerful conclusion as to what happened in 2020.
Right. And in a few years, we'll finally know, I'm sure.
To stand down, to stop talking about it, to stop making Americans aware of the cheating and corruption that went on, that's really saying it's okay. You can do it again. We can't let that happen. In addition to securing our elections, here are just some of the other things we must do with Republicans back in charge. We must pass critical reforms, making every executive branch employee fireable by the president. The deep state must and will be brought to heel.
What? What?
We will stop the radical Democrats from packing the Supreme Court with far-left justices.
They haven't even tried to.
Although the way the Supreme Court is behaving, perhaps the Republicans should pack the Supreme Court.
Wait,
They are
hold on.
behaving not the way we think is appropriate for our country.
That doesn't make sense.
As a lot of people have suggested that, but I don't think we'll do it. And we will defend the Constitution, the right to life, and the right to keep and bear arms.
That exists already.
We will end sanctuary cities. We will end catch and release. And we will end the visa lottery scam. And we will finish the wall very quickly, a matter of weeks.
None of it will happen.
We will charge China trillions of dollars for unleashing the virus upon the world.
China.
We
all
will
the time.
place tariffs on other countries. We will do the tariffing thing. We have no choice.
We're going to do the tariffs, guys.
In China, for years, they ripped off our country. They paid hundreds of billions of dollars during our time in office. They never paid
China.
10 cents, never 10 cents between tariffs and taxes, hundreds of billions of dollars. And, you know, we made a trade deal, and it was an incredible deal for our farmers and our manufacturers. That's why our farmers are doing so well, because China, now I understand that China, once I'm out, China's not going to adhere to the deal.
He has no idea what he's saying.
But they're not going to adhere. But the farmers did fantastically well. But we made incredible deals with China. We saved our steel industry because they were dumping steel all over our country. Our steel industry was going down the tubes. I've had so many people in the steel industry thank me for the job we did. We put massive tariffs on steel that they were dumping in our country. But we took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. Nobody else took in 10 cents over many, many years. And I'm very proud of it. And China respected us. And then, of course, when COVID or the China virus came in, we had to deal a lot differently.
If Ivanka weren't my daughter,
we're very proud of the job we did. We did something that I don't think anybody else could have done. And I want to thank certain governors did a very good job. Certain Republican governors did a very good job.
Certain.
And I can't think of any Democrat governor that did a good job. They were all in lockstep. Let's lock up your cities. Let's lock up your towns. Let's lock up your state. And let's harm your children.
You can tell Trump's deeply spiritual from this speech.
Age. We will place tariffs on other countries to restore the glory of American manufacturing, and we will ensure our future is made right here. We're going to manufacture. We started it big time right here in the USA. And these are just a few of the steps that we have to take.
What a lunatic.
To save the nation that we love. The rest of them you know. The rest of them we've discussed today. If we fail in our mission,
He's been speaking about 75 minutes.
America will be. The radical left is trying to extinguish our very identity as Americans so that when they try to take our freedom, we do not even think to resist.
Now, when will they take our freedom, I guess is the question.
They got to fight. We have no choice. We got to fight like hell. We can't let them destroy our country. But our opponents have made a very big mistake. They have done the one thing you must never do if you seek to harm America. They have grossly underestimated the strength and brilliance and pride of the American people. They're not going to stand for it. They're not going to take it. The crackdown, censorship, and cancel culture are not an expression of confidence. They are an expression of cowardice and of fear, and they are afraid. They reveal not the dominance of the radical left, but their desperation and their despair. They are losing, we are winning. They know it. They know it. And that's why they're going so far. That's why they're doing some of the crazy things that they're doing. They're acting as though they were lunatics, maniacs, and the people get it, and we have to stop it, and we have to stop it now. My fellow Americans, this nation does not belong to the radicals, and it does not belong to the corrupt establishment in Washington that I've gotten to know very well. This nation belongs to you, belongs to you.
Really inspirational speech.
It was patriots like you that built this country, and it's patriots like you that are going to save our country. So to all of those who think that they can coerce and subjugate the citizens of this land, hear these words from me tonight.
Mexico.
The people of America will not surrender our borders. We will not surrender our culture. We will not surrender our faith. We will not surrender our values.
All right.
We will not surrender our history. We will not surrender our liberty. And above all, we will not surrender our children to the small band of bullies and extremists who want to tell everyone else what to do.
Really struggling to read the prompter now.
We are done with the fascists and communists and socialists, and we are done with their distorted vision.
Good thing there's barely any in the country, I guess. Makes it easy to be done with them.
Greatness for our country again. We want our country to be great again. We want our country to be respected again. We are a laughingstock all over the world today. 1 year ago, we were respected like never before.
There is no poll you can find that supports what he's saying right now.
In closing, as your president, I instituted
Okay.
Please proceed, Governor.
I instituted the largest tax cut in American history by far, and our economy thrived like never before. As your president, I eliminated more burdensome regulations than any other president in history by far.
Name them.
As your president, I proudly protected our Constitution and the First and Second Amendment. As your president, I secured our southern border, upheld the laws of this land, and stopped the influx of illegal immigrants into America, very dangerous illegal immigrants. I instituted the Remain in Mexico policy. We don't want you here. You have to remain in Mexico. And Mexico agreed with us. Someday I'll tell you that story. Built over 500 miles of border wall and ended the insanity of catch and release. As your president, I made America energy independent for the first time in 72 years. When I left office, America was a net exporter of energy for the first time in our country's history. As your president, I negotiated free and fair trade deals with Canada, Mexico, Japan, all over Europe, and China. We had the worst trade deals ever, and we turned them into some of the greatest trade deals ever made. I'm the only president in history to stand up to China and their one-sided and unfair trade practices.
That's not true.
And I taxed them and I tariffed them beyond any levels that anybody thought was possible. And you know what? President Xi liked me and respected me, and I liked and respected him. We got along great. We got along great. Until COVID came, and then it was a whole different ballgame. But we had a very good relationship. As your president, I kept my promise and chose Supreme Court justices on the list I gave to the country before the 2016 election.
Yeah, who he just railed against instead of doing a terrible job.
Conservative justices. As your president, I insisted NATO nations start paying their fair share, and they did. Hundreds of billions of dollars started floating in. Hundreds of billions of dollars. And Secretary General Stoltenberg was my biggest fan. He said, I've never believed it, because President Obama would go to NATO, make a speech, talk about the weather, the sun, how lovely everyone looks, and leave. And others would too, including President Bush, how wonderful everything was. And I went and I said, I'm sorry, you're all delinquent. You have to pay it. And they said,
none of this is true. Meanwhile, there is big breaking news out of Ukraine, and we're going to get to it momentarily. It's wild what's happening.
Flowed in. Billions and billions of dollars flowed in. Oh, these are stories that the fake news doesn't want to talk about. I also warned NATO about the danger of Russia. And look at the consequences. On foreign policy, the world rightly had a healthy fear that as president, I would stand strong for American priorities. You remember, though, when so many people in the Democrat Party and during the debates said he's going to get us into the Third World War with Trump. I'm the one that didn't have any wars. I'm the one that got us out of wars. Look at Iraq. Look at Syria. I was the one that brought us way down in Afghanistan. I brought you down to 2,000 soldiers. The easy part was just getting out. I brought it down from 20,000 soldiers to 2,000 soldiers. The easy part was for Biden to just get them out, let the soldiers stay, the remaining soldiers, and take care of everything. It's called Soldiers Out Last. I went to a child who was 5 years old. You've heard me say this. I said, let me ask you a question. I gave him the whole story. Would you take the soldiers out first, or would you take them out last? I'd take them out last. He was 5, and he understood.
Yikes.
They understood any hostile actions would be met with swift and severe consequence. The world is always safer when America has a strong president. America has to be strong, and it needs strong leadership. And you see what happens when you have bad, weak, or incompetent leadership. It's a travesty like nobody could believe could happen in such a short period of time. The world is always in danger with a weak American president. This coming midterm election is more critical than ever before. I'm asking all of you to fight and work hard to elect candidates that believe in the principles and policies that we hold so dear.
This is a long speech.
This is a tipping point for the country, and the stakes...
Dude, I've got miso soup and katsu coming. I need this to wrap.
...is not an option. We must win in 2022. We must win in 2024. We all know what happens when you get a rigged election, like in 2020. Will never happen again. We all know laws were not followed. Ballot harvesting was rampant. We all know state constitutions were also ignored all over our country. And you're not allowed to do that. The only ones that can make the changes are the
Hey, just as a quick thing, I know this is the most important thing going on, but at such difficult and complicated times as these, I always wonder, what would Tulsi do? And Tulsi has now put out another statement.
President Putin, you've made your point. Before it's too late, stop the attack now. I have both Ukrainian and Russian friends, and I know that they have aloha. They have respect and love for each other like brothers and sisters. It's clear that the Russian people and the Ukrainian people both just want to live in peace. So I implore you, end this assault now before it gets to the point of no return and the suffering becomes unimaginable.
What a principled and defiant statement from Tulsi, and why anyone would even remotely care what she has to say at this point, I really couldn't tell you.
And they must be accurate, not changed after the election takes place. We must seek a goal of voter ID. This is a goal we have to seek. This is what we should have. Voter ID, same day voting, like we've always done. No mail-in ballots except for our military and people who are truly sick.
Trump voted by mail, guys.
Wonderful, too. What would be really wonderful, it's asking a lot, a thing called, very simply, paper ballots. I have a young son, Barron, young son, and he can make his computer sing. I turn it off and I lock it. 2 minutes later, hi, Dad, how you doing? I said, what are you doing? Yeah, I know how to get it open, Dad.
Isn't Barron like 17? That's how he talks?
Very bad things happen.
I can't imagine Trump has any idea what Barron's up to.
It goes to paper ballots, you know that, right? Canada, paper ballots. America is the greatest country on earth, and we must insist on integrity in the process so we are confident of the results, because what we have now is you have 80% of the party thinking the vote was a horrible vote, and I believe that to be the case. I know certainly, I feel certain that it was. You can't have that. You can't have a great democracy with a thing like that happening. You must get your state legislatures to act now before November. They have to move. They have to act with the help of everyone here today and with the commitment of hardworking, freedom-loving patriots all across our country. We will make America powerful again.
Oh, no.
We will make America wealthy again.
Here we go.
We will make America strong again.
And
We will make America proud again. We want to be proud again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again. Thank you very much. Thank you. God bless you all. Thank you.
Well, it was indeed another febrile screed by Donald Trump. He told lies. He struggled through the teleprompter reading. He really did it all. And remember, if it's just Trump in a room by himself, okay, it doesn't say as much about the country. But it's Trump in a room of sycophants who are absolutely salivating for another run. Sorry, I think there's more people. There's just so many people. I think we've banned like 40 people during this stream. It's weird. It's like, just go watch somewhere else. There's the dancing. Trump's eye, a notably swollen shut as usual. What an insane situation. One of the things I will be talking about this week are, I'm going to go through some of the tools of reactionaries. And one of the tools of reactionaries is the imaginary slippery slope. Next thing you know, if they keep going down this road, the vaccine one has interestingly been proven wrong. I mean, it's like we had the first vaccine mandate when George Washington required soldiers to be inoculated. Then we had a vaccine mandate in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1905. And then there was, and it's never gone beyond. Every once in a while, we add vaccines as we develop them. But they insist on it. They just insist on it endlessly. It's always, it's about to happen. It's about to happen. And it never does. And the imaginary slippery slope as a tool of fear for the reactionary is something we're going to be talking about. Quite frankly, we're going to be talking about it pretty strongly this week.
Looking at that very strongly.
Yeah. So I really appreciate everybody who joined me. I appreciate the 116 people who either made a Twitch Prime subscription or signed up on my website. We will be back on Monday with the State of the Show address leading up to Tuesday night, Joe Biden's State of the Union address. And it is all going to be happening. And quite frankly, I can't really imagine a better place to be. I really can't. I really can't.